Welcome back to another full chapter reading from my novel, The Sea Glass Journal. If you are joining me brand new, please follow the link in the video description to start at chapter 1 so you can start at the beginning. Otherwise, today I'm going to be reading chapter 4. Let's get started. The commissary kitchen was already loud when I arrived. Metal doors swung open and shut. The hood fans over the stoves overpowered the hum of conversations and whirring appliances from different corners. Someone laughed near the sinks. The ovens were warming, the air sharp with cleaner and heat. I checked the time on my phone, 9:58 a.m. We were supposed to meet at 10. I tied my apron and washed my hands, slow and deliberate. I knew better than to stand around waiting. There were things I could do without Holly. The foundational work, the kind that rewarded patience. I started with the pantry items. Onions first, a full case. I peeled and sliced them thin, uniform arcs falling into a stainless bowl. Olive oil warmed in a wide pan, rosemary crackling softly as it hit the heat. The onions went in slowly, steam blooming up toward my face. I lowered the flame and set a timer, stirring occasionally as they softened and collapsed into sweetness. Next, I poured olive oil into a clean saucepan and added whole garlic cloves and fresh rosemary. Low heat, no rush. Infusion took time. I set the pre-made pastry tart shells on a baking tray and poured my key lime pie filling into each of them. I told myself not to think about it. I despised shortcuts like this. Bottled juice from concentrate, factory perfect crusts. Cutting corners flattened everything I loved about making food. I had learned to make key lime pie filling and crust from scratch many years ago. This wasn't how I liked to work, but it was how things got done here. By the time I reached for the next ingredients, I hesitated. That part required Holly. The blood oranges hadn't arrived, neither had the fennel. The tenderloin for the sliders was nowhere to be seen. I wiped my hands on my apron and checked my phone. No messages. I waited 10 minutes, then 20. At 30, I called, straight to voicemail. At 45 minutes, I sent a neutral text. I'm here. Let me know when you're close. I kept working. Pesto was safe. I toasted and cooled the pine nuts, then pulled the garlic, olive oil, and salt. I washed and dried the leaves carefully, blending in short pulses so it wouldn't heat or bruise. I would have preferred some fresh lemon too, but this would still be okay without it. I pressed plastic wrap directly against the surface before sealing the container, labeled it, dated it, and slid it into refrigeration. I grated a block of Parmesan and spooned small mounds onto a parchment-lined tray, pressing each one thin with the back of a spoon. Into the oven just until they melted and laced together. I worked quickly, lifting them while still pliable and draping them over the inverted wells of a mini muffin pan. They hardened into delicate cups within seconds, golden, crisp, structured. If the fennel and blood oranges ever arrived, at least they'd have somewhere worthy to land. An hour passed. I leaned against the counter and checked my phone again. The voicemail notification from the attorney was still there. I hadn't returned the call. There hadn't been time. Out of habit more than intention, I opened my browser. Cypress Key, 52 miles, 58 minutes without traffic, 2 bridges. I closed the tab before images could load and set the phone face down. When Holly finally arrived, it was with a rush of noise and perfume and urgency, like the room had been waiting for her to break its rhythm. She arrived 40 minutes late with 2 paper grocery bags and no apology. The fennel's coming, she said, setting the bags down. The butcher's running behind. I'll bring the rest this afternoon. Okay, we're behind, she said, already scanning the counters. We'll have to move fast. She rattled off instructions, some useful, some impossible, and scanned the counter like she was already somewhere else. Can you just make it work? Then she was gone again. I stared at the door after her longer than necessary. By the end of the afternoon, everything I could control was done. Onions perfect, oil fragrant, Parmesan cups crisp, pesto vivid, labeled, stacked, waiting for the things I couldn't conjure out of air. Holly texted near closing. Let's finish tomorrow. No acknowledgement, no plan. I cleaned my station and drove home tired, still believing tomorrow would be better. The message came Thursday morning, 10 minutes before I left. Let's just do the rest at my house. I read it twice. The commissary kitchen existed for a reason. Holly's house was not a professional prep space, but the party was Friday night and there wasn't time to argue logistics. I packed the onions, oil, pesto, tarts, and Parmesan cups and loaded what I could into my car. Some of the platters and serving pieces lived on a shelf at the commissary. The tables and most of the decor were stored in Holly's garage. I tried to keep track. She was always buying more. My arms ached by the time I finished. Holly's house looked like a place mid-renovation and mid-party planning all at the same time. Counters crowded, bags open, dishes stacked at odd angles. I set the food containers down carefully. I spotted ingredients that hadn't been on the original menu. What's the final menu? I asked. Holly waved a hand without looking at me. We're figuring it out. It wasn't an argument. It was a realization. This wasn't unfinished. It was unplanned. We worked late. I adjusted, compensated, filled gaps. I kept my concerns to myself because the party was tomorrow and there was nothing else to do. By the time I left, there was still no final menu, no written list, no sense of who was responsible for what on Friday. Just assumptions, just motion. When I finally left, I was too tired to be angry. Thank you for joining me for Chapter 4 of the Sea Glass Journal. I hope you'll join me next week for Chapter 5. If you would like to read ahead, you can find the paperback book and the ebook in links in the video description so that you can read the full Sea Glass Journal right now. I'll see you next week.